Pwede pong i-ano po. Nakasuot po ba yung ID niyo mamaya po?
Okay lang naman. Tatanggal ka ID?
Usually tinatanggal po. Baka maipit siya po. Ay, parehas lang po yan, ma'am. Depende dun sa ano niyo po. Ano ng pagbasa po. Kung pwede kayo dun sa maliit o ano. Ma'am, ito iipit lang po sa likod. Paki na lang po, ma'am. Dito sa ano po. Thank you po, ma'am.
Actually, si BCM lang. Si BCM.
BCM?
Si Barbara. Siya lang yung nasa Zoom ngayon. Yung dalawa kasi, hindi sila nasa Zoom. Dapat may mag-stand-in sana dito.
From our side ko ba?
Dito sa side natin. Kasi, oo. Sa actual kasi, ipapan lang yung camera sa kanila.
Okay. Si BCM lang ang ano po. Ang nasa Zoom. Ngayon. Tapos si mga kapatid ba? Wala sa Zoom. Pero kailangan ng instances na para mako. Ma'am, yung instances ko
Sa inyo na lang. Oo. Kulang. Miss Abby, wala si Eva. Wala.
Kasi lang i-flash na lang si BCM dito. Si BCM dito. Dito rin naman yung position niya po. Aba, for the meantime. Thank you. Yo! Kaya kita na nila. Si Ma'am po yung BCM. Sabi nyo nakikita na
Yes. Pa-out mo na tong RF1 pre ha. Nag 2 bars eh. Thank you. Sige pre.
Mga kababayan,
Buwan ko na lang. Okay, wala na. Okay. Ma'am, bubuto na lang namin yan. May tao. Pero kukuha na namin sila. Nandito na siya sa floor. So, may lagay ko pa rin yung upuan. Dahil pwede na tayo start.
Copy po talaga.
Apo. Yung malaki.
Pareho.
Audio test tayo, audio test. Sige pa, mic na. Sir Kirk, pwede tayo mag-audio test dito. Mic test po tayo. So,
Mic test. Mic test.
Mic test.
ano tayo, lapel? Ano?
Lapel. May lapel kami.
Mic test. Mic test.
Mic test.
Backup lang yung lapel.
Wala naman.
Backup lang.
Ano ba to? Sound check.
Lapit ano pa natin.
Mic test. Mic test.
Direct out ka ba? Kahit shield ka lang.
Mic test.
Kahit lapit ka lang konti.
Oh. Mic test.
Sound check. Sound check.
Test mic 1 2 1 2. Bale, vaccinated na naman ako.
Puso lang tayo sa konti dito. Sige, oo, taas mo, brother. Salamat.
Sir, patutok na lang po later. Thank you po, sir.
Okay.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Sound check. Parang mas naharangan.
Ha? Hello. Sound
Ah,
check.
sir.
Sound check.
Parang mas okay yung face mask.
Sound check.
Pero ang ano po talaga, pag may face shield po, naka-ano po, mas patch.
Sa baba, no?
Asan lang?
Kasi pag ano po, ano siya, bumablock.
Dapat yung face shield ko yung... Ay, wala naman ako face shield pagdating sa ano, di ba?
Wala. Sound check. Sound check.
Bablock ng ano niya, face shield niya.
May vaccine na ako.
Face shield sila. Face shield daw po.
Medyo ano lang ni sir pagka ano.
Kukuha ko ng mas maliit. Malaki to eh. Yung mas ganito lang.
Okay. Sir, kung sa po kayong komportable sa mic, position nyo na lang.
Ah, sorry.
Kung malapit o pa.
O, kasi meron akong ano eh. Pagdating sa actual, may shield pa rin kami.
Pwedeng wala yata.
Ha?
Ay, kailangan yata, sir.
Last year wala eh.
Wala.
Out face shield lang ako. Out face shield.
Face mask din.
Kung saan po ako po, kahit wala. Layo na lang po tayong konti. Yun ang ano sa amin. Gusto ko. Safety lang din.
Sige.
Gusto ko sa kayo komportable dito, sir.
Mm.
Ngayon na gusto kayo komportable sa taas ng mic.
Okay.
Okay, mic test tayo. Final. Standby, guys.
Mic test. Mic test.
Mic test. Mic test.
BCM. Okay, standby, guys. Cameras. Audio. Okay tayo. 3 minutes countdown. Countdown tayo, 3 minutes.
Welcome to the 2021 Annual General Stockholders Meeting of PXP Energy Corporation. We shall start the meeting with the Philippine National Anthem, followed by the invocation.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Nawa'y maging gabay, saan man magtungo, tuwing nalulumbay, ilawan ang puso. Itong aming dasal, kapag naliligaw, kami akayin mo sa landas na wasto, kung saan patungo sa iyo.
Aming panalangin,
May pag-ibig mo,
O Diyos, kami dinggin
ilaw sa aming puso,
sa bawat sandali.
sa araw at gabi.
Pagtulaw namin itong aming dasal.
Itong aming dasal,
Kapag naliligaw,
kapag naliligaw,
habang nasa mundo, kami akayin mo kung saan patungo sa iyo.
Please rise for the Philippine National Anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, presiding over this meeting is the chairman of PXP Energy Corporation, Mr. Manuel V. Pangilinan.
Ladies and gentlemen, the meeting will please come to order. Welcome to the 2021 Annual General Stockholders Meeting of PXP Energy Corporation. I am Manuel V. Pangilinan, Chairman of the company. Let me introduce to you our directors and officers of the company. Joining us today at TV5 Media Center are Daniel Stephen Carlos, Director and President, Barbara Ann C. Migalios, Corporate Secretary, Marilyn A. Victorio Aquino, Director, and Eulalia B. Austin Jr., Director. Directors joining us by remote communication are Emerlinda R. Roman, Independent Director and Chairman of the Audit Committee. Benjamin S. Austria, Independent Director and Chairman of the Board Risk and Resource Oversight Committee. Oscar S. Reyes, Director. Diana V. Pardo Aguilar, Director. Joseph H. P. Nang, Director. Other corporate officers and executives and the company's independent external auditors, CCIP Gores Velayo and Company, are also present via remote communication. May we know from the Corporate Secretary whether notices of this annual meeting were properly sent?
Days on June 2 and 3, 2021, and was also disclosed to the SEC and the PSE.
Madam Secretary, is there a quorum for the transaction of the business for which the meeting was called?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, at today's meeting, they are present in person or represented by proxy stockholders representing blank percent of the company's outstanding capital stock. We're still awaiting the final tabulation. Permit me to state that as indicated in the notice of this meeting, stockholders may participate and attend this meeting only by remote communication. A dedicated email address was disclosed consistent with SEC rules so that stockholders would be able to register and to submit proxies on or before June 14, 2021. Shareholders who did so are considered present at this meeting. I hereby certify that there is a quorum for the transaction of business at this annual general stockholders meeting.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Will you please inform the body of the voting procedure and general protocol of this meeting?
Okay, since it's quite long, I don't think I should read that now, okay? Anyway, it will be flashed also.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Secretary. The next item on the agenda is the reading and approval of the minutes of the annual general stockholders meeting held on July 15, 2020. The minutes of the 2020 AGM were posted on the company's website 5 business days after that meeting. May I request the Corporate Secretary to present the resolution for approval by the stockholders and the votes received thereon?
The resolution for which approval is sought is shown on the screen. The resolution says that resolved that the reading of the minutes of the annual meeting of stockholders held on July 15, 2020 be as it is hereby dispensed with, and that said minutes are hereby approved. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders representing a total of blank shares, more than a majority of the shares present or represented at this meeting and constituted blank percent of the, and representing blank percent of the company's total outstanding capital stock voted in favor of the proposed resolution.
Thank you. The minutes of the annual general stockholders meeting held on July 15, 2020 are hereby approved. The next item on today's agenda is the approval of the annual report and of the company's audited financial statements and the notes thereto for the year ended 31st December 2020. Copies of the report and the audited financial statements were previously distributed to the shareholders in accordance with pertinent SEC rules. The President, Daniel Stephen P. Carlos, will present the highlights of the annual report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fellow shareholders, members of the board, officers, employees of PXP Energy Corporation, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Tutuloy ko to. PXP Energy and its subsidiary Forum Energy Limited are involved in a number of petroleum service contracts in the Philippines, either as an operator or as a joint venture partner. As in previous years, we remain committed in advancing our exploration efforts, particularly in our 4 service contracts wherein the company is the operator. These are Service Contract 72, Service Contract 75 and 74, both in Northwest Palawan, and Service Contract number 40 in Northern Cebu. We also have substantial interest in an exploration block outside the Philippines, Block Z38 in offshore Peru, through another subsidiary, Pitkin Petroleum. In August of 2019, PXP participated in a bidding round for a prospective block in the Sandakan Basin, Sulusi, together with Philodrill Corporation. In addition, we also nominated a block in the Recto Bank area north of SC-72. Our application for the 2 new service contracts remain under review with the Department of Energy. Lahat ba? Hindi na.
Excuse me, are we going to have the teleprompter from last year? Abi, may teleprompter?
Teleprompter, yes.
Because, mas maganda if Danis natin.
Last year meron eh.
Oh, yes po ma'am, dry run lang po kasi that's why wala pong teleprompter na screen dito right now.
Okay.
O kasi babasahin ko dito.
Sige po, ilalagay na lang po namin mukha kaming ka.
Yeah. Punta tayo sa, ano na lang siguro, tapusin na natin yung sa...
Kaya, thank you na.
Oo.
Thank you, sir.
Sige.
Thank you all.
On behalf of the management and staff of the PXP Energy Group, I would like to thank all our directors and shareholders for their continued support and commitment to the company. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Carlos. May I ask the Corporate Secretary to inform the stockholders of the questions received from the stockholders, which we will answer at today's meeting?
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any questions from the stockholders. Abi, when's the deadline again?
21st.
Sorry?
June 21.
Today?
Today.
Yeah, today.
So wala pa. As of today, wala pa.
Wala na.
Wala pang
Can the Corporate Secretary please present the proposed resolution and the votes received in favor of the approval of the annual report and the audited financial statements?
Mr. Chairman, the resolution for the approval by the stockholders of the annual report together with the audited financial statements and the notes thereto of the corporation for the year, for the year ended 31st December 2020 is shown on the screen. It states, resolved that the annual report together with the audited financial statements and the notes thereto of the corporation for the year ended 31st December 2021 be as they are hereby approved. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders owning a total of so many shares or more than a majority of the shares present or represented at this meeting and constituting blank % of the company's total outstanding capital stock voted in favor of the proposed resolution.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The annual report and audited financial statements and notes thereto for the year ended 31st December 2020 are hereby approved.
Excuse me again, ha? Sorry. Excuse me again. Abi, nag-submit na ba ng proxy ang SSS?
Wala po ako natanggap.
Have you been following up with them? Ha?
Follow up daw po niya.
Okay, kasi anong percent bang SSS?
10.
Ha?
10%.
10%. Ang Felix is
30.
what? 30. So 10. Ang first pack
28. 28, ma'am.
28%.
So with 30 and 28, meron na tayong 58%.
58.
Di ba?
Yes.
30 being PX and 28 being first pack.
First pack group. Yes.
Direct shareholdings ito ng first pack. Buwan ako. Okay. Pero maganda pa rin kung kung pumasok ang SSS.
Follow up na lang namin.
Oo, sige. Okay.
Next item.
The next item on the agenda is the ratification and approval of the acts of the Board of Directors and officers of the company during the past year. May I request the Corporate Secretary to present the proposed resolution?
Mr. Chairman, the resolution is shown on the screen. Resolved that all acts, contracts, proceedings, elections, and appointments made or taken by the Board of Directors and/or executive officers and management of the corporation during the past year and up to today's meeting, as set forth in the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Directors and the committees and/or all acts and proceedings performed or taken thereto, be as they are hereby approved, ratified, and confirmed. Based on the tabulation of votes, shareholders representing a total of blank shares or at least a majority of the shares present or represented at this meeting and constituting blank percent of the company's total outstanding capital stock voted for the approval and ratification of the act of the Board of Directors and officers of the company during the past year.
Thank you. The acts of the Board of Directors and the officers of the company during the past year are hereby ratified and approved. The next item on the agenda is the appointment of the company's independent external auditors. The Audit Committee and the Board recommend the appointment of Sisip Gores Velayo and Company as the independent auditors of the company for the year 2021. May I request the Corporate Secretary to please present the resolution for approval and the votes received by the same?
Mr. Chairman, the resolution is showed on the screen. Resolved that the accounting firm of Sisip Gores Velayo and Company, as recommended by the Audit Committee and the Board of Directors, be appointed as the external auditor of the corporation for the year 2021 and until its successor is duly appointed, based on the tabulation of votes, etc., etc. Okay. That's it.
Thank you. Sisip Gores Velayo and Company is hereby appointed the independent external auditors of the company for 2021. The next item on the agenda is the election of directors for the ensuing year. There are 9 seats to be filled, and 2 of the directors to be elected must be independent directors. This year, shareholders approval will also be sought on the extension of the terms of the company's independent directors. I will ask the Corporate Secretary to further explain and afterwards read the names of the nominees.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, there are 9 nominees for the 9 seats on the Board of Directors. 2 of the nominees are nominees for independent directors. As discussed, or maybe as explained in the information statement, the company's independent directors' respective terms have now exceeded the prescribed cumulative term limit of the 9 years reckoned from 2012 under SEC Memo Circular Number 4 Series of 2017. The same circular provides, however, that where a company wishes to retain an independent director who has served for 9 years, the board should provide the meritorious justifications and seek shareholder approval during the annual stockholders meeting. At the 29 April 2020 meeting of the Board of Directors, the Board resolved to retain and extend the terms of its independent directors, Dr. Benjamin S. Austria and Dr. Erlinda R. Roman. The company believes that the continuity is essential in these uncertain times, and the expert knowledge of Dr. Austria on the energy industry and the experience of Dr. Roman on matters that are crucial to the business of the company cannot be easily replaced. The extension of their terms is also then presented for ratification by the shareholders. The nominations committee screened the nominees and prepared a final list of candidates, which were incorporated in the information statement for today's meeting. DFP, sorry maybe we should put here Benjamin Austria, Independent Director, extension or extended per board resolution, di ba? So that it's clear that they're also voting for the extension. Okay, but we can take care of that. Okay, that's it.
Madam Secretary, please advise the body of the results for the election of directors.
Mr. Chairman, each of the 9 nominees for the 9 seats on the board received the sufficient votes to elect them as directors of the company. The terms of Dr. Austria and Dr. Roman as independent directors of the company are likewise extended. The tabulation of the votes will be posted on the company's website after this meeting.
Thank you. The following are elected to the Board of Directors of PXP Energy Corporation: Manuel V. Pangilinan, Daniel Stephen P. Carlos, Eulalio B. Austin Jr., Marilyn A. Victorio Aquino, Benjamin S. Austria, Emerlinda R. Roman, Oscar S. Reyes, Diana V. Pardo Aguilar, and Joseph H. Pinang. Are there other matters that need to be discussed? There being no further business to discuss, I hereby declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you again next year.
Excuse me, Abby. I didn't see yung linagay yung names, yung last part. Nakalagay ba doon Benjamin Austria, Independent Director? Nakalagay
Wait lang Nicole, can you put up that screen again, yung list ng names ng mga directors?
Nakalagay po, Independent Director.
Nakalagay okay.
Opo.
Sige. Essential yun for SEC purposes All communications, kailangan nakalagay na independent director sila.
Ma'am, what about Dr. Roman? Dapat ganun.
Yes, the both of them.
Both of them, ma'am.
Both of them, basta independent director, palaging nakadagdag yung independent director.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, since finished na, is it okay if we play yung talagang prayer namin?
Yes, please, kasi talagang
Yes,
MVP made point of that. What was his term?
Yes.
Gasgas na raw.
Once pa lang
Nicole, can you please play yung prayer natin, please?
Isa pa lang beses, no? Once pa lang.
Last year lang.
previous year, yung English, in 2019?
Opo, sir. Tapos last year lang pinalitan ni Ate Nicole. Pero
Attorney
baka,
Babsi, yung ginamit kanina na yung invitation, yung kanina, yung last year lang natin ginamit yun, isang beses pa lang. Hindi gasgas na gasgas.
No, I don't think he was referring to PXP. I think many other companies.
Yung song na yun, dahil
Yes, na
the
palagi
prayer,
nagagamit. No, he wasn't talking about PXP.
yung the prayer
He was,
mismo.
even if we did not use it last year, I think the comment would have been the same because it's so common.
Yeah. Yung melody, yung prayer.
Yung the prayer, gusto niya ng iba.
Yeah.
In fact, he was citing yung sa PLDT, maganda daw mas
Yung
modern.
one day ata yun, ma'am.
Meron kami,
Yung special mention ng MVP yung one day.
binigay na namin yung bago eh. Yeah.
Oh, meron ma'am nasabit namin kay MVP pero inaayos lang ni Nicole Sir para ma-EQ dun sa...
So what's the song? What's the song? What's the prayer?
May magsasalita lang. Tapos
Ano ma'am, may voice over lang po. Binabasa yung prayer with
may background music, yun lang.
background music, yes po.
Okay.
Less than 1 minute long.
Basta secular. I think
Yeah,
is the
secular.
correct term. Teka, is Mark attending?
Virtually, ma'am.
Actually, ma'am baka
Mark, how are you? Miss na namin kayo. Ikaw. Ha? Are you okay?
tingnan swab test.
Nagpaano?
Swab test.
Ano yun?
PCR.
PCR. Ko naman. Took you 2 weeks to do that. You deserve a vacation. Kaya lang dahil sabi, meron ka daw procedure. Siyempre, mag-worry kami, no? Kumusta ka na?
Naman, okay naman.
Are we doing the same thing for Felix?
Yes po, ma'am. Sir Eva will also read his report. Practice daw. He needs to practice din.
Kaya ni Eva yan. Diyos ko.
Saka they will play yung kanilang new prayer.
That's good. Oh, so ano na? Di ba 4 sila? Pwede sila mag-join.
Opo, ma'am. Actually, nanonood sila sa YouTube right now. So, makikita nila everything. Naka-live tayo, ma'am.
Abi, yung proxy ng SSS.
Sige po, ma'am. I will chase them.
Did they give last time?
They always do eh. I don't know.
Even sa special shareholders, hindi bigay yun. Okay naman sila pagdating sa soliciting yung mga proxy.
Oh, because last year, pandemic, nagbigay naman sila.
Yes. Nagbibigay naman yun lang. Kulang lang sa konti pang
Ay, nako.
Inaayos lang po, ma'am, dito sa technical yung para ma-plug yung yung prayer.
Dapat pala iniram nila natin yung sa Meralco.
Ano ba yung prayer sa Meralco?
Actually, daw dito, hindi ko pa narinig, pero kung wala namang comment doon, then we can, di ba?
May special mention si boss yung one day. It seems na gusto niya. Yeah, gusto niya. Pero sabi niya, but I'm not saying that you should copy it.
Hindi, baka kasi baka
Ay,
copyright
kakasawa ng GT, I would say, sige na, copy na.
Hmm.
Matagal.
Sino si Matsi Shaho?
Scotty medyo na.
A few moments later.
Sir, kailangan po ba ng BOD slides?
Nang?
BOD slides po sa Friday or
Oo. Meron akong ginagawa.
okay.
Ano? Sino yun? Dan, tuloy yung meeting bukas, ha? Dan?
Yeah, tuloy po.
Yung special meeting.
Yes, tuloy.
Saan kami umupo dahil ng meeting?
Diyan.
Dito kami, pare.
Yung last year, dyan din.
Principal kami.
Oo. Hindi, mamaya dito kayo. Dito ka. Mamaya. Pagkatapos namin.
Ay, tapos na kayo, di ba?
Meron pang piniplay, di play eh.
Hindi, ko lang po. Wari-wari ko. Lalaban, lalagyan ko sana kayo ng... Si Bobsida, Bobsi, pumunta ka rito pag actual meeting na.
Yes, I'll be there. Ako, I'll be there. Sabi ni Iya.
Puminto siya man. Puminto siya. Parang tapos na kayo. Di ba?
Yung prayer namin kasi, hindi nila nailagay kanina, yung bagong version.
Yung bagong version.
Oo. Na-play kanina yung luma, yung last year. Dalawa, yung dalawa naman. Hindi, yung malaki. Sabay yan, pwedeng basa. Magkasabay yan, dalawa, yung malaki tsaka yung...
Ano sequence niyan, Dan? Di ba meron board meeting ng PXP first, di ba?
Ah,
Then dito tayo.
tapos dito tayo. Yung board meeting mukhang sa labas. Wala tayo rito.
Wala sa labas.
Sa
Sa ibang
MVP room po, dito na lang kayo mag-meeting, sir.
Saan?
Dito po sa merong private room dito sa TV5, doon na lang po kayo magbo-board meeting para po, sir, hindi na magkaroon ng problema with yung sa live streaming na kumukhang nangyari last time.
Last year, oo. Yeah, that sounds like...
Ganon din po yung ginawa ng MTIC at saka ng PLDT. Sa iba nila ginawa yung board meeting, hindi mismo sa studio to avoid yung ganong problema.
Saan tayo mag-meeting, Pabsi, for the feelings?
Dito rin po, sir. Ito po sa kwarto.
Isang kwarto.
We go also to the other room.
Yes, ma'am. 5 person.
Super fast, ha? Tsaka kailangan tapos agad yung board meeting.
Ma'am, 15 steps lang, ma'am. Nasa studio na kayo.
Somewhere here,
Malapit
malapit.
lang.
Basta malapit lang dapat.
let us put ourselves in God's presence. Dear God, you have entrusted us as stewards of your creation. Please guide our hearts as we make our decisions. We seek you first in all we do together. We give you our business, our contractors, our suppliers, our shareholders, our workforce. May we be always mindful of their service and guidance. We confess that we are nothing without you, and our trust is in you completely. Amen.
Ano ito, para makita mo sa YouTube yung alin? Iba pa rin. Iba pa rin. Ano yan?
Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you to the 2021 Annual General Stockholders Meeting of Philex Mining Corporation. We shall start the meeting with the Philippine National Anthem and followed by the invocation. Please stand for the Philippine National Anthem and invocation. Felix prayer. Apo Dios, as we continue to be under this pandemic, give us the strength and the wisdom to soldier on. Ready to face the new normal and whatever challenges may lie ahead. Thank you for the life and livelihood you've given us. As we enjoy the riches of your bounty, your blessings here on earth, may we be guided by your grace to share our blessings with others. Most especially those who are in need at this time. All these we lift up to you. Felix, a gift of God, the work of man. Diyos di amina ako. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, presiding over this meeting is the chairman of Felix Mining Corporation, Mr. Manuel V. Pangilinan.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The meeting will please come to order. Welcome to the 2021 Annual General Stockholders Meeting of Felix Mining Corporation. I am Manuel V. Pangilinan, Chairman of the company. Let me introduce our company's directors. Joining us today at TV5 Media Center are Eulalio B. Austin, Jr., Director and President and CEO, and Barbara Ann C. Migalios, Director and Corporate Secretary, Marilyn A. Victorio Aquino, Director. Directors joining by remote. Ang bilis. Wilfredo A. Paras, Independent Director. Anita Kitain, Director. Michael A. G. Rihino, Director. By Norhata D. M. Alonto, Director. Joseph H. P. Nang, Director. Richard P. C. Chan, Director. Also at the TV5 Media Center is Romeo Bachoco, the company's Chief Finance Officer and Treasurer. Other corporate officers and executives, and the company's independent external auditors, CSIP, Gores, Vilayo and Company, are also present via remote communication. May we know from the Corporate Secretary whether notices of this annual meeting were properly sent?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the notice with the agenda of the meeting was posted on the website of the corporation. It was also published in print on blank and blank, to be completed later, and online on blank and blank, all for 2 consecutive days on June 2 and 3, 2021. The notice with the agenda was also disclosed to the SEC and the Philippine Stock Exchange.
Madam Secretary, is there a quorum for the transaction of the business for this meeting was called for?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, upon tabulation of the stockholders who registered their attendance via the dedicated email provided by the company for this purpose, at today's meeting there are present in person or represented by proxy stockholders representing blank % of the company's outstanding capital stock. Permit me to state, Mr. Chairman, that stockholders may participate and attend this meeting only by remote communication. A dedicated email was disclosed consistent with SEC rules so that stockholders would be able to register and submit proxies on the prescribed dates. Stockholders who registered are considered present at this meeting. I hereby certify that there is a quorum for the transaction of business at this annual general stockholders meeting of Felix Mining Corporation.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Will you please inform the body of the voting procedures and general protocol of this meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Considering that these are rather long, I move to dispense with the reading of this at today's rehearsal, if you don't mind, and so that we can proceed to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The next item on the agenda is the reading and the approval of the minutes of the annual General Stockholders Meeting held on 15 July 2020. The minutes of the 2020 AGM was posted on the company's website 5 business days after that meeting. May I request the Corporate Secretary to state the resolution for approval by the stockholders and the votes received thereon.
Mr. Chairman, the resolution for which approval is sought is shown on the screen. It states, resolved that the reading of the minutes of the annual meeting of the stockholders held on 15 July 2020 be as it is hereby dispensed with, and that the said minutes are hereby approved. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders representing a total of blank or more than a majority of the shares present or represented at this meeting and constituting blank % of the company's total outstanding capital stock voted in favor of this resolution.
Thank you. The minutes of the annual General Stockholders Meeting held on 15 July 2020 is hereby approved. The next item on today's agenda is the approval of the annual report and the company's audited financial statements and the notes thereto for the year ended December 31, 2020. Copies of the report and the audited financial statements were previously distributed to the stockholders in accordance with the pertinent SEC rules. The President and the Chief Executive, Mr. Eulalio Austin Jr., will present the highlights of the annual report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay then, may ikaw na. Okay. I will, wala sa speech ka. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Fellow shareholders, members of the board, officers, employees of Philex Mining Corporation in our subsidiaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to our 2021 Annual General Stockholders Meeting. This is the second time that we are holding this annual meeting online. I was hoping that this year we would be able to see each other face to face, but we are still under a pandemic, and in the case of NCR Plus, under general community quarantine with heightened restrictions. Never in our wildest dreams would we imagine that a disease of such magnitude and of such impact would disrupt our way of life and living. And yet, here we are. A Time magazine article on the future of business says that amid the disruption, pain, and loss of 2020, the global pandemic provided a rare window into the future of business as it unfolded in real time. Indeed, 2020 was a trying time for many people and for businesses across the world. From every crisis comes opportunity. And the Philex miner has time and again stared crisis and adversity in the face. Like the legendary phoenix, we keep rising from the ashes. Thanks to the commitment of our people and to the support of various stakeholders from the host and neighboring communities and the respective local government units, to the shareholders, employees, and government regulators. We set out in the year 2020 with optimism that it will provide us a window of opportunity to pursue our business expansion plans and undertake a debt reduction program as we optimize the remaining ore resources of our Santo Tomas ore body in our Padcal mine, and working with our financial advisor in finding a strategic partner for the development of the Silangan project in Surigao del Norte after obtaining all required regulatory permits. Our business focus in 2020 was dubbed Bridging the Gap. This aimed to sustain and maximize the potential of Padcal mine operations, while we continue to search for additional mine assets that can be
Recording
developed
stopped.
within or at the vicinity of the Padcal mine area. Little did we know that 2020 posed unprecedented challenges to our operations when we were preparing our business directions during the last quarter of 2019. As if the prevailing regulatory environment in the local mining industry were not yet enough to pose challenges, the global pandemic from COVID-19 happened, when national authorities enforced an enhanced community quarantine or nationwide lockdown as a response to the health crisis. Many local businesses were ordered to suspend operations and implement strict protocols such as observing physical distancing in workplaces to prevent the spread of the virus. The challenge was bigger when you considered that we worked in an underground mine with artificial ventilation and dwelling in a confined community. The COVID-19 virus in these environments could spread like fire when not properly managed. Being an export-oriented company, Philex was allowed to remain operational during the lockdown, subject to conditions related to work arrangements for employees. This enabled the company to deliver on its commitments on copper concentrate shipments, as well as on its regular commitments to other stakeholders. Our quick response to the pandemic enabled us to post a positive core net income in the first quarter of 2020, a complete turnaround from a core net loss in 2019, mainly due to higher metal output and higher realized gold prices during the period. Our stellar financial performance in 2020 speaks volumes about the resilience Philex has demonstrated amidst the difficulties. The company's core net income surged by 645% to 1.162 billion for full year 2020 from 156 million in 2019. At the height of the COVID outbreak and lockdowns in the first quarter of 2020, Philex already posted a complete turnaround from a core net loss of 112 million pesos in 2019 to core net income of 103 million pesos. This was mainly due to higher metal output and higher realized gold prices during the period. Favorable metal prices and production sustained the increasing momentum of both revenue and core net income since first quarter 2020 onwards. We also generated a 15% increase in operating revenues to 1.860 billion pesos from 1.613 billion pesos during the period. Gross revenues rose by 14% to 8.45 billion pesos in 2020 from 7.399 billion pesos previously, due to significant increase in gold and copper prices, in addition to higher metal production. However, this was partially offset by a lower peso-dollar exchange rate in 2020. Amidst the pandemic, the company exceeded its operational performance and milled a total of 7,837,536 tons in 2020, only 3% lower than the 8,112,791 tons in 2019. In the first 3 quarters of 2020, Philex was riding on a positive momentum, but its production output was tempered in the last quarter due to a power supply disruption and the temporary stoppage of the underground mining operations. As we have to nip at the bud, our miners tested to be COVID positive. We have no choice but to subject all our workers involved in the operations for testing. Our favorable performance also resulted from the prices of gold and copper worldwide, which were on positive trend in 2020. Realized gold prices reached their highest level in the third quarter of 2020 at $1,915 an ounce. Copper reached $3.43 per pound in December 2020. With favorable metal prices coupled with higher metal output, our total operating revenues, net of smelting charges, jumped by 15% to 7.834 billion pesos in 2020 from 2019's 6.790 billion pesos. This enabled the company to take advantage of the favorable business environment, operate profitably, and pursue its mission for the benefit of its stakeholders. Our overall positive results were also attributable to the consistent improvement in our operational efficiency and prudent cost management. These efforts led to a 9% cost decline in the company's full-year operating costs and expenses to 6.298 billion pesos in 2020 from 6.917 billion pesos in 2019. The continued implementation of our debt reduction program led to lower short-term debts of $31 million as of end 2020 from $46 million a year ago. We shared the fruit of our good performance in 2020 by declaring a cash dividend of 5.9 centavos per share to our shareholders on record as of February 24, 2021, which was paid on March 26, 2021, representing 25% of our 2020 core net income. Beyond the financial performance and production results, the pandemic also redefined in some way what corporate leadership was all about. How people increasingly expected companies to become leaders themselves in social causes, in how business was able to partner with government in its COVID-19 response. Philex Mining was able to contribute a total of 17.3 million pesos for social amelioration of Padcal's hosts in neighboring communities in the province of Benguet, as well as for food, equipment, and medical assistance to various LGUs in their fight against the deadly virus. This was taken from the realignment of unutilized SDMP funds approved by the Mines and Geosciences Bureau in light of the hard lockdown. On top of this, Philex put up its own quarantine facility at its own expense, which was vetted by the Department of Health. We sustained our corporate social responsibility, setting aside at least 1.5% of our total operating costs for our social development and management program that benefits our hosts and neighboring communities. In 2020, we spent 107.5 million for our SDMP, which is fully compliant to what is provided for by the mining law. Through our health, education, livelihood, public infrastructure, and socio-cultural programs or HELPs, we were able to bring quality health services closer to the communities where we operate. Our scholarship program not only helps families augment their household income, but also nurtures student scholars who become role models in their own communities. HELPS also supports the development and provision of needed infrastructure, water systems, electrification, and various farm equipment in farm-to-market road improvements. While development of our Silangan project has yet to commence, we have already started implementing CSR programs through our subsidiary Silangan Mindanao Mining Company Incorporated, or MMCI. These programs focus on education, livelihood, and the promotion of socio-cultural activities within our host communities of 11 barangays and 4 municipalities in the province of Surigao del Norte. We anticipate 2021 to be another challenging year as the coronavirus mutates in a majority of the population have yet to be vaccinated. However, these challenges will not stop us from pursuing these growth strategies that will sustain our business even in the new normal and beyond. For 2021, we have set out our business direction to be pushing boundaries, expediting options, and continuous upgrade of our corporate image. First, pushing the boundaries at Padcal to possibly extend the mine life beyond 2022 with relentless operational and cost improvements to optimize the remaining mineral resources of the Santo Tomas ore body. Second, the search is still on for financial investors to our Silangan project. And if this $758 million initial capital investment will be a showstopper, then a lower capital investment scenario will be recommended to expedite the development of the Silangan project. Third, our CSR programs and external relation initiatives for 2021 will be geared towards right and principled mining. The first and second strategies will undoubtedly ensure our business continuity. Mergers and acquisition are also embedded as company growth strategy. Yet, while we continue to do these trailblazing initiatives, we should also continue to raise the bar when it comes to our environmental, social, and governance practices, or ESG. ESG is an issue that has only recently moved from the margins to the core of investment decision-making, enhance operational management. For Philex, however, sustainability has long been an integral part of the way we do business. In fact, ESG principles are deeply embedded in our organizational DNA. The pandemic has also brought the importance of strong ESG governance into sharper focus for investors, governments, and communities alike. Operating as a right and principled mining advocate, however, is not something new to Philex. It is entrenched in our work culture as the oldest and one of the most prestigious mining companies in the country. Towards the end of last year, government has made pronouncements regarding the need for the revitalization of the mining industry. This was anchored on the position that mining can be an effective economic driver if allowed to flourish, in that it is and had been an able partner to government, especially in the fight against COVID-19. Government has looked towards mining as a viable source of revenue to fund COVID response as well as vaccination. In April of this year, the President issued Executive Order number 130, which repealed certain provisions of Executive Order number 79 that was issued in 2012 and lifted the suspension of no mining agreements. These are positive developments that would hopefully encourage investor interest in the industry and hasten its development as a whole. Our Padcal mine camp continues to strictly enforce border control in COVID-19 prevention measures, especially with the emergence of new variants and increased risk of infection and transmission. Our unsung heroes, the medical and healthcare frontliners of our medical department in Santo Niño Hospital, as well as the respective managers, supervisors, and rank and file of the various departments, continue to soldier on, never giving up the fight. I am glad to say that our medical team in Padcal have already been fully vaccinated, and it will only be a matter of time where all of us will follow suit under the MVP group vaccination program. The regular and aggressive testing of employees also continues to this day. We cannot and must not let our guard down. As we face the new realities together post-pandemic, we will continue to count on your untiring efforts and cooperation in sustaining our business. Philex has emerged stronger from a very difficult year. Thanks to all our people, our shareholders and partners, our host communities, as well as our management team and our board of directors. There remains more to do and more challenges to bear. But we will keep putting our foot one after the other with the light at the end of the tunnel as our guiding lamp. With your unwavering commitment and support, we will brave the new day together, especially now that PADCAL will be extending its mine life beyond 2022 for additional 2 years. This would mean more revenues for the government, more development for our hosts and neighboring communities, more employment, and more benefits to our beloved shareholders and all other stakeholders. Diyos te agina, Apo.
May I ask,
Excellent.
may I ask the Corporate Secretary to inform the stockholders of the questions received from the stockholders, which we will answer at today's meeting?
Mr. Chairman, as of June 21 at 12 noon, which was the deadline for the submission of questions, we have not received any questions from the stockholders. This is an aside, huh? Okay. Okay, meron pala. Okay. These are the questions, Mr. Chairman, as of 12 noon today. First, when is Philex planning to develop the Silangan resource? Perhaps we can ask the CEO to address these questions one by one.
As of the moment, we are still looking for investors. And once we get an investors before the end of the year, we could start immediately the development of project and hopefully commission Silangan project by last quarter of 2024.
Thank you. The next question is, assuming the ban on open pit method of mining is repealed by the DNR, does Philex Mining expect to switch back to the open pit mining method? Will PX need much time to switch to this method of mining? I gather that PX was planning to use the underground method of mining due to DENR 2017-10 ban on open pit mining.
Management made a study on the anticipated lifting of the open pit ban, and our study revealed that it's better to go directly to underground rather than going open pit and then just the same mining the remaining ore body with an underground mining method. That's why management decided that we go directly to underground mining method.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Okay, third question is, will there be significant dilution that PX foresees if they push through with the open pit method? How much cash would be needed?
The biggest portion of an open pit mine is stripping the overburden or the topsoil, as we call it in layman's language, and the amount involved is huge. That if we could not find investors to the project, it would be better just the same to go underground. Ano ba yung dilution niya, Babsy? What's the dilution that he's saying? Dilution in the share price or dilution in the underground?
No, from what I understand, can you flash again the question? Actually, this sounds like I think
dilution
Palitan
of
na
shares?
lang natin yan.
kasi cash how much cash would need to be raised? So it would be a dilution of shareholdings.
Okay.
Diba?
If there will be significant dilution, if
Palitan na lang natin yung question na yan. Isagot
Were
na
there
natin.
other questions?
Wala na. Ha?
We'll try to articulate the question para kwan.
Para maliwanag.
Yeah, because I think we answered the question that there's no point going now to open pit because based on management study, we better go directly underground.
But parang it assumes that if it's open pit, mas mahal.
Oh, correct.
Mas, okay.
But we don't want to answer that in that direction, Babsi.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Was that
Because-
one of the pretty fair questions?
Because we already have a study that if you shift to open pit, you need additional $132 million for stripping of the topsoil.
Okay.
Those are not, we will choose the questions na lang. Kasi maraming
Marami ba?
Hindi, mas
Big,
complicated.
marami bang questions?
Ay kung wala nag-email, Babsi, hindi na tayo magko-question.
No, I'm just wondering kung because I assume talaga maraming tanong about silangan, di ba? And of course, life of mine.
For me, I think the appropriate question would be, what would be the benefit of AO 130 to Felix? Di ba? To me, that would be, ano bang benefit ng lifting ni President Duterte on some provisions of EO 79? I think that would be, Luman, I think that would be a better question.
Okay.
Okay.
So we are also educating really our stockholders instead of just answering crazy questions, di ba? Or questions
Okay.
that are not clear. Mm-hmm.
Okay, go.
Okay na?
Yules, I noticed something about 2024. Di ba papa-approve pa natin yon?
That's why it was placed already, but there's a version. If it will not be approved in the meeting, yeah.
The assumption is that it will be approved
Yeah,
just before the meeting.
correct.
The good news we all want, di ba?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it was in the last part of the speech. If you look at it, not at the
okay.
middle portion of the speech, because we just add it. Kung hindi matutuloy, then we just remove that.
Okay, sige. Okay.
So, I'll proceed now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can the corporate secretary please present the proposed resolution and votes received in favor of the approval of the annual report and the audited financial statements?
Mr. Chairman, the resolution is shown on the screen. Resolved that the annual report, together with the audited financial statements and the notes thereto of the corporation for the year ended December 31, 2020, be as they are hereby approved. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders owning a total of blank shares or more than a majority of the outstanding of the shares present or represented at this meeting and constituting blank percent of the company's total outstanding capital stock voted in favor of the proposed resolution.
Thank you. The annual report and the audited financial statements and the notes thereto for the year ended 31st December 2020 are hereby approved. The next item on the agenda is the ratification and approval of the acts of the Board of Directors and officers of the company during the past year. May I request the Corporate Secretary to present the proposed resolution?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution is again shown on the screen. It reads that resolved that all acts, contracts, proceedings, elections, and appointments made or taken by the Board of Directors and or executive officers and management of the corporation during the past year and up to today's meeting, as set forth in the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Directors and the committees, and or all acts and proceedings performed or taken pursuant thereto, be as they are hereby approved, ratified, and confirmed. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders owning a total of blank shares or at least a majority of the shares present or represented at this meeting and constituting blank percent of the company's total outstanding capital stock voted for the approval and ratification of the acts of the board of directors and officers of the company during the past year.
Thank you. The acts of the board of directors and officers of the company during the past year are hereby ratified and approved. The next item on the agenda is the appointment of the company's independent external auditors. The audit committee and the board recommend the appointment of CCIP Gores Velayo and Company as the independent direct auditors of the company for the year 2021. May I request the corporate secretary to please present the resolution for approval and votes received by the same.
The resolution is again shown on the screen. It states, resolved that the accounting firm of CCIP Gores Velayo and Company, as recommended by the audit committee and the board of directors, be appointed as the external auditors of the corporation for the year 2021 and until its successor is duly appointed. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders owning a total of blank shares or at least a majority of the shares present or represented at this meeting and constituting blank percent of the company's outstanding capital stock voted in favor of the appointment of CCIP Gores Velayo and Company as the independent external auditors of the company for the year 2021.
Thank you. CCIP Gores Velayo and Company is hereby appointed the independent external auditors of the company for 2021. Every year, the stockholders appoint an election inspector who will serve as such for the ensuing year and until the close of the next annual stockholders meeting. A representative of the company's independent auditors is usually appointed. May I request the corporate secretary to please present the resolution for approval and the votes received by the same.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The resolution is resolved that an election inspector be appointed to serve as such for the ensuing year until the close of the next annual general stockholders meeting, and that Mr. Alexis C. Zaragoza III of CCIP Gores Velayo and Company be appointed as the election inspector of the company. Based on the tabulation of votes, shareholders owning a total of blank and constituting blank percent of the company's outstanding capital stock voted in favor of the appointment of an election inspector to serve as such for the ensuing year and until the close of the next annual general stockholders meeting, and Mr. Alexis C. Zaragoza III of CCIP Gores Velayo and Company was favorably voted upon as the next election inspector.
Thank you. Mr. Alexis C. Zaragoza III of CCIP Gores Velayo and Company is hereby appointed the election inspector of the company and shall serve as such for the ensuing year and until the close of the next annual stockholders meeting. The next item on the agenda is the election of directors for the ensuing year. There are 11 seats to be filled, and the 2 of the directors to be elected must be independent directors. This year, shareholders' approval will be sought on the extension of the terms of the company's independent directors. I will ask the corporate secretary to further explain and afterwards read the names of the nominees.
Mr. Chairman, there are 11 nominees for the 11 seats on the company's board of directors. 2 of the nominees are nominees for independent directors. As stated in the information statement, the company's independent directors' respective terms have exceeded the prescribed cumulative term limit of 9 years, reckoned from January 2012, under SEC Memorandum Circular Number 4, Series of, this is wrong, sorry, this should be 2012, di ba? The same circular provides, however, that the same circular provides, however, that where, oh, I'm sorry, 2017. Excuse me, sorry. Yung record from January 12 is 2012, di ba? And then, SEC memo circular allows the extension. But never mind, we'll figure that out. The same circular provides, however, that where a company wants to retain an independent director who has served for 9 years, the board should provide meritorious justifications and seek shareholders' approval during the annual stockholders meeting. At the meeting of the Board of Directors held on April 29, 2021, the board resolved to retain and extend the term of its independent directors, Mr. Oscar J. Hilado and Mr. Wilfredo A. Paras. The company believes that the continuity is essential in these uncertain times, and the knowledge and experience of both Mr. Hilado and Mr. Paras on matters that are crucial to the business of the company cannot be easily replaced. The nominations committee screened the nominees and prepared a final list of candidates, which was incorporated in the information statement for today's meeting. The following are the nominees. Their names are shown on the screen. Mr. Manuel B. Pangilinan, Engineer Eulalio B. Austin Jr., Attorney Marlene A. Victorio Aquino, Mr. Oscar J. Hilado for Independent Director, Mr. Wilfredo A. Paras for Independent Director, Commissioner Anita B. Kitain, Commissioner Michael G. Regino, Commissioner Bay Norhata D.M. Alonto, Attorney Barbara Ann C. Migalios, Mr. Joseph H. Pinang, and Mr. Richard P.C. Chan.
Madam Secretary, please advise the body of the results for the election of directors.
Mr. Chairman, each of the 11 nominees for the 11 seats on the board received a sufficient number of votes to elect them as director of the company. Having received sufficient votes, the terms of Mr. Hilado and Mr. Paras as independent directors of the company are likewise extended. The tabulation of the votes will be posted on the company's website after the meeting.
Thank you. The following are elected to the Board of Directors of Felix Mining Corporation, etc., etc., etc. Madam Secretary, are there any other matters that need to be taken up?
Mr. Chairman, there are no other matters that need to be taken up.
There being no further business to discuss, I hereby declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thank you. Hey, that is less than an hour, huh?